Welcome to I Said What I Said, a sports podcast giving you opinions not heard anywhere else. I'm your host, Brad Wakai, going solo again today. Unfortunately, my co host, Tyson Gentry, is out. Again, a work assignment has kept him hostage. He's unable to make the podcast today. It's unfortunate. It's our week one NFL preview. We got a lot to get to. Now, this is not going to be the format going forward. This is just something that we're rolling out here for the first one. We have a whole content schedule planned for the NFL. So this is going to be a one-off thing for week one. Tyson will be back moving forward, and we'll have a different type of angle that we'll attack these types of podcasts here late in the week as we get ready for the NFL slate. But week one preview. I mean, first of all, it's finally here. I mean, thank God the NFL is finally back. We got our little appetizer with college football, and now we get the professional stuff with the NFL returning. And so Lions and Chiefs are being played as I'm recording this. And so I'm not sure the outcome of that right now. I'm going to go through all these games, just give you my thoughts, what to expect on the weekend. Stay tuned for Money Making Time. I have 3 plays that I really like so far. And I think, I'll kind of give my philosophy as we head into week one on just about ways to attack week one. I think it's better to be cautious. But first, I'll start off by giving some of my angles and what I expect moving forward here for each game. And so just going down the board here, let's start with the 49ers traveling out to Pittsburgh to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a fascinating game to me because Brock Purdy's going to be the starter for the Niners, and he's recovering from elbow surgery. How's that elbow going to look like? How's this new offensive line going to look for the 49ers after losing Mike McGlinchey in the offseason? This is going to be a pass rush from the Steelers. Are probably going to be the healthiest they'll be all season. TJ Watt is back. They want to wreak havoc. And from what we saw on the offense during the preseason, this is a revamped type of team who looks to be having a little bit of fireworks here on the ground and through the air with Kenny Pickett in the second season. So it's under a field goal in the betting market, and it looks like he can even get down to 2 points for the Steelers. And I know a lot of people are looking at that and kind of shaking their head. There's a lot of confidence in the Steelers, especially in this spot. And so this is a big game. I expect the Niners to win, although I'm not that confident about it. We saw what the Steelers have done in the openers in the past. They beat the Bengals. They beat the Bills past 2 years. That's what they do. Mike Tomlin is incredible at getting his team ready. And I think I would not be shocked if he does the same thing in this one and the Steelers knock off the Niners, although I do expect the 49ers to win that game. Moving over to the Panthers and Falcons. Divisional matchup, rookie quarterback, and Bryce Young getting his first snap. If you haven't seen the trends yet, it's not good for rookies in their first start. New head coach and Frank Reich, they wanted to go in a different direction after the firing of Matt Rule in the interim of Steve Wilkes there. And so they bring in an offensive-minded guy and then be aggressive and get Bryce Young. And then you have the hot offseason team of the Atlanta Falcons after they drafted Bijan Robinson. What's this offense going to look like? Like, is it going to be a ground attack under head coach Arthur Smith, who was the mastermind behind the ground game for the Tennessee Titans when Derrick Henry was going crazy? Is Desmond Ridder good enough? What does this defense look like? It's been a defense that's had to be rebuilt because they have not been good in recent years. So I think this is a game that has major questions that will at least provide some insight moving forward after this week one matchup. Because I honestly don't really know what to expect. I think just based on what we've heard and based on what we project on paper, this could look one way, and what actually transpires on the field, it could look completely different on Sunday. Texans, Ravens. Another game with a first-year head coach and first-year quarterback that we're going to get on the docket this week. This is going to be tough, man. Like, they travel to Baltimore. This is a large point spread. The Ravens are 10-point favorites, and I think with good reason when you look at it, just based on a Texans team that is still under a rebuild, a first-year head coach. But this is a new offense for the Ravens. We don't know how it's going to look. There hasn't been glowing reviews coming out of training camp this offseason. I think there's going to be some growing pains. I really do. Will it pay off in the long run? Probably. But I think in week one, I really want to see how this thing looks. Like, there are some expectations that this thing is going to look like Lamar Jackson's offense at Louisville when he was just going crazy at the college level. I'm not so sure. And I want to see what this defense looks like under DeMeco Ryans and how CJ Stroud looks like in his first start in the NFL. That's not the preseason. Like, this is against live bullets. Is he going to be prepared for that? Bengals at Browns. Huge divisional matchup in week 1. Huge. Bengals opened as a 3-point favorite. It's down to 1.5. Cleveland has dominated this series in the past couple seasons. New defensive coordinator in Jim Schwartz. He's going to be super aggressive. Super aggressive, provide some exotic schemes that will try to slow down this potent offense that the Bengals have. My main concern here and my main question is, what does Joe Burrow's calf look like? What does he look like? He hasn't practiced since the injury. Is there going to be some rust? What's the concern level there? If this offensive line does not hold up against this Browns front, is he at risk for injury? How mobile is he going to be? So this is one that I got circled. This is one I'm extremely interested in, and I may have a play in as we get into Money Makin Time. But this is going to be a telling game, especially when we consider how Deshaun Watson looks in the second year with Kevin Stefanski and the outlook of what that offense could become, as they have high hopes for what the team could be this season. Bucks Vikings. Bucks travel to Minnesota, and the prime regression candidate that the Vikings are. This opened at about 6.5. It's down to 5.5, suggesting that there are some people out there who really like the Bucks. Baker Mayfield's a starter there. He has a lot of weapons to throw to in Tampa. Is he going to be able to? That's the question. Is he going to be able to accurately get them the football? Because we know there's some times when he can look really good, and there's times when he looks absolutely awful. And this is a Vikings defense that is prime time to be able to attack. Now, new defensive coordinator Brian Flores is in, so that could improve things. But I want to see what it looks like on the field. I'm not sold on either of these teams. That's one to circle if you want to keep an eye on moving forward. And then how about this one? Potentially maybe the worst game of the week. Cardinals going to Washington to face the Commanders and first-year starting quarterback Sam Howell. Arizona might be the worst team in the league. This is a game that the Commanders really have to dominate, and they should with that defensive front against a Cardinals offensive line that I think is going to have major question marks and is going to struggle this year under a first-year defensive head coach and a first-year offensive coordinator. I think this is going to be a really tough game. The Commanders should dominate. If they don't, that is a telling sign that there could be some trouble there in Washington. Titans go to the Saints. Would anybody be shocked if Mike Vrabel just beats the Saints here and just wins this game outright? Like, they're 3-point dogs, but like, this is would be such a Saints thing and such a Derek Carr thing. If with all these expectations, they're supposed to win the division, they just lay an egg in the opener. Like, there's questions about the Titans, of course. Like, we don't know what this offense is going to look like. This defense looks aging. There's questions there. Like, how much, if this thing goes sideways, how much rope are they going to give Ryan Tannehill before they turn it over to some of their young quarterbacks and see what they have there? But in week 1, when this veteran team is ready to get fired up and go and play for the season, Mike Vrabel is going to have them ready. I would not be shocked if the Titans win this game outright. Jags go to Indianapolis. Now, they're 4.5-point favorites on the road. Gosh, this division is just so wacky. Would anybody be like uberly shocked if the Colts pulled off this upset? Like, just based on the crazy things that happen every single year in the AFC South? I think when we look at just the dominance that the Jaguars should have on paper over every single team in this conference, in this division, yes, it would be surprising. But I've seen this movie before. Weird stuff happens in this division, and weird stuff happens in week 1 all the time. But on paper, the Jags should dominate this. I am not sold right now on the Colts under new head coach Shane Steichen in his first year and rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson. Like, everybody just expects both this duo to just hit the ground running and go because Shane Steichen coached Justin Herbert. He coached Jalen Hurts and really pushed them forward as elite quarterbacks in this league. But to do it in game 1 against a division winner last year who wants to grow upon what they did, which is win a playoff game last season, I think that's a tall task. I don't see this Colts team being very talented. Like, there was a lot of talent in those Chargers teams when Justin Herbert took over. There was a lot of talent on those Eagles teams that Shane Steichen was able to get in the ball into those playmakers' hands. Besides Michael Pittman, who on this Colts team really scares you on the perimeter? And Jonathan Taylor's banged up. So I think this is a tall task for the Colts in week 1 of the Steichen-Richardson era. Eagles go into Foxborough coming off a Super Bowl victory, or I'm sorry, a Super Bowl loss. I wish it was a victory. I'm an Eagles fan, but it's Tom Brady night. You're going to hear a lot about that. They're going to be honoring Brady. It's going to be a lot of emotion there. I'm not going to take that in consideration in regards to the handicap. The Eagles are 4-point favorites on the road here. We know Belichick has struggled with containing mobile quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts in the past. This defense should be improved for the Patriots, and you'd expect the offense to be much better with Bill O'Brien back as offensive coordinator for Mac Jones' third year as a starter compared to what they were operating under last year with Matt Patricia as offensive coordinator. I mean, just say that out loud. What a disaster that was. And so I'm not going to be shocked if this is a field goal game, guys. Really. The total is starting to get lower. This Patriots defense has had all offseason to prepare for what the Eagles can do on offense, but I expect the Eagles to win. They're just a superior team right now. Their talent is way too great. And for an offensive line that the Patriots are going to roll out there that has major question marks, if the Eagles defensive front is able to dominate and eat up this offensive line that the Patriots put out, it's going to be hard for Mac Jones. And the Eagles actually could blow him out. I don't see that happening just based on what Belichick's going to be able to do defensively, regardless of what his struggles have been in the past against mobile quarterbacks. But I expect the Eagles to win this one, albeit I think it's going to be close. Raiders go to Denver. First game on the Sean Payton era in Denver. What is this going to look like? Like, is this offense going to be a disaster like we saw in the first preseason game against the Cardinals team? Are they going to show signs of life? Is the whole Russ Wilson, Sean Payton experiment going to get off to a good start against the Raiders defense that has been leaky for years? And on the flip side, Jimmy Garoppolo, new quarterback for the Raiders. Like, he has weapons. Like, Devontae Adams is still there. Josh Jacobs is back. Hunter Renfrow in the slot. I think it's going to be tough for them to really puncture what this Denver Broncos defense does, which is just suffocate offenses. And so I expect this to be a low-scoring, slug-em-out affair. Broncos should win this football game. Like, they should. I expect the Raiders to be one of the worst teams in this league, and I do think there's an upside for the Broncos. I just don't know if it comes in week one. They're 3.5-point favorites. That hook just scares me to death. I just don't know if you can even touch that right now, just regardless of what they look like on paper, because you really just have no clue what to expect regarding either of these teams. Rams at Seahawks, another divisional game. Seahawks down to 4-point favorites. I think it was at 4.5 at 4.5 at some points here. Cooper Kupp's out. I'm surprised that it's reduced, but this is going to be the healthiest the Rams defense is going to be all year. This is going to be the healthiest, besides Cooper Kupp, that this Rams offense is going to be all year. Like, are they going to be bought in? Are they going to be prepared and ready to try to pull off an upset and make a statement like, no, we just won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Like, we're still here. Like, we're still contenders in here. I can see that happening, to be completely honest. All they've heard all offseason is that they suck and that they're going to blow this thing up and that this team is just going to get walked over by everybody in this division. Would not be shocked if the Rams in week one come out and give their best performance and try to beat the Seahawks. They always play tough. Like, this is always a tough matchup for the Seahawks, and it's been in the past under Pete Carroll. And then what can the Seahawks do? Can Geno Smith build upon what he did offensively last year that won him comeback player of the year? I think this is a very interesting game in the division and something that's going to shine a lot of outlook, a lot of light on what we could see transpire in the division this year, because there's a lot of optimism around this Seahawks team. Packers, Bears. I mean, you want to talk about hype. My God, Justin Fields apparently has already won his 5th MVP just based on what everybody's been talking about. Like, just they traded for DJ Moore. I get it. Like, there's another weapon here for Justin Fields. This guy's going to have to start completing passes before I'm ready to anoint him. And I know everybody else is. I'm not. Like, I need to see a lot more from Justin Fields before I'm ready to put him in Canton, which everybody else is ready to do based on because he was running the football last year. Like, it takes a lot more than that to play quarterback in this league. And then the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is gone. Like, it's the Jordan Love show here now. Like, we've been waiting 3-4 years to see this happen, and we're finally going to see it. Matt LaFleur now is the guy there as the play caller, no longer has to defer to Aaron Rodgers. What does that do for this offense? Is there going to be more ground attack? Is there going to be more play action? What does this offense look like as it evolves away from what Aaron Rodgers prefers to do and looks more like what Matt LaFleur came from, which is the Kyle Shanahan system? I think that could be something to monitor big time here. I do have a play in this game coming up later in Money Making Time, as the Bears are still 1.5-point favorites in this one. Dolphins at Chargers. Dolphins a 3-point road dog here going into LA, a place they got absolutely blitzed last season. New defensive coordinator Vic Fangio for the Dolphins. New offensive coordinator Kellen Moore for the Chargers. There's some unknowns here when you really look at things. Vic Fangio, he's a great defensive coordinator, but it hasn't come in his first season. And then Kellen Moore, he just loves to chuck the rock around. Like, there's going to be a lot of passes thrown for Justin Herbert, and I think there's going to be a lot more efficient compared to what they did under Joe Lombardi that they're previously running in the Chargers. So I think there could be a lot of fireworks in this game. Like, two teams that want to make big statements and get off to good starts in the loaded AFC. I think this is a must-win game for both teams here. And I know it's crazy to say that in week one, but listen, it's never good to be in a hole, especially in two divisions that are going to be extremely tough that the Dolphins and Chargers are both in. Sunday Night Football, Cowboys go to the New York Giants and are 3.5-point road favorites. Both teams coming off playoff performances. There is much optimism surrounding the Giants as they get Darren Waller. Provides Daniel Jones a big-time weapon. Second year under Mike Kafka as offensive coordinator. Second year for Brian Daboll. We saw what Daniel Jones was able to do last season under this regime. There's expectations that he's going to take this thing to the next level. Now, this is a Cowboys team who supposedly is going to be more conservative. That's what Mike McCarthy said. That's the goal. He wants to keep his defense off the field for as long as possible and allow Dan Quinn to dial up as many crazy and exotic blitzes that they're going to throw out there. I love this Cowboys defense heading into this season. I think they're going to be the best in the league. I think they're going to be dominant, and I think Micah Parsons is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. 3.5 is tough for me to look at, man, especially in the divisional game, and you're getting a home dog on this one. I just don't know what to expect with this Cowboys offense with Dak Prescott in prime time. I don't think he's going to be the turnover machine he was last year, but this is going to be, I think, a really tight game, a really, really tight game that I expect the Cowboys to win, but I would not be shocked, quite honestly, regardless of, I think the Giants aren't as good as everybody else does. I would not be shocked if the Giants win just because it's the NFC East and it's a divisional matchup. And let's close out here with our preview. Bills at Jets, battle of one New York team in the Buffalo Bills against a team who plays in Jersey here on Monday Night Football. The Bills are 2.5-point favorites on the road, facing the Jets, who are just one of the darlings of the offseason after getting Aaron Rodgers. The defense is expected to be as good as it was last year. They have Dalvin Cook. Breece Hall is expected to be back and ready to go. The Buffalo Bills are the forgotten about team, quite honestly. Like, after they were favorites last season, everybody's throwing them out into the trash because they didn't get it done for them. Well, they opened this as 2.5-point favorites. You're telling me that's about a 4.5 on a neutral and about just under a touchdown at home? That's how good the odds makers thinks the Bills are. That's pretty surprising, just considering all the smoke that the Jets have gotten this offseason. And so that should tell you something there. I think the Bills win this game. I really do. I love the Bills this season. They're one of my teams that I think will win the Super Bowl. Them and the Philadelphia Eagles. Go check out all of our futures bets on our previous episode as well. But I love the Bills here. I really do. I think they're going to win. I'm not going to play it just because I don't know what to expect from the Jets. Just being honest here. Just being honest with everybody. But I really like the Bills to make a statement in this one. Remember what they did to the Rams early last season. 2 years ago. You know, they like to make statements early. So Bills at Jets to close it out. Let's move into Money Making Time. And I only have 3 plays here for week one. And a lot of this has to do with just my philosophy regarding week one. I feel like it's a lot about a guessing game. Like, there are a lot of teams that we have data points on that we can point to and say, okay, this is what we expect. Right? We know the Chiefs. Andy Reid's there. He's calling plays. Patrick Mahomes there. Okay, we know that. I think we can kind of understand what the Giants are going to be in the second year of Daniel Jones, Mike Kafka's OC, and Brian Daboll. But like for others, the Broncos, Sean Payton, new offense. Eagles, new offensive coordinator, which we expect to be the same, but we have to see it. Jags, that's one of the teams we probably can look at and say, oh, okay, that'll be the same. Commanders, completely different under Eric Bieniemy. There's just so many things that we can look at here and say, man, I have questions about. And so That's why I'm staying away from a lot of stuff here. I think, if anything, I'm going to be playing a lot of in-game stuff as I get my eyes on some things and look at like kind of what's going on and being like, okay, that's something I can target in-game and maybe something in the second half market as well. But I do have 3 picks this week. The first one being the Falcons -3.5, -110 here on FanDuel. It's a sucker bet, to be completely honest, just because it's a divisional game and I'm laying the hook. Like, I hate that that's the hook here. But it opened around 3 and it moved up to 3.5. And it's based on what a lot of things that are coming out of the Panthers camp. Like, there's questions that their best defensive player and edge rusher, Brian Burns, isn't going to play. If that's the case, this defense could be in for a world of hurt, because the Falcons are going to want to keep this thing on the ground and dominate in the trenches. And if they can't get after the passer, or if they can't get penetration, this is going to be extremely difficult. And on the flip side, the offensive line for the Panthers is a major concern that I have. And I don't necessarily think that the Falcons are a team that's going to overly exploit that. But I think that just is going to make life extremely difficult for Bryce Young in his first start, especially considering that his receiving core is already banged up. And that's not what we want to hear if you're a Panthers fan. But as Falcons backers, like I'm going to be this week, I'm laying Falcons -3.5 here on FanDuel. I played up to -4 at that point as well, so -3.5 here, Falcons for me. Next one, Dolphins Chargers over 50.5, -115 on FanDuel Sportsbook. This could be another extremely suckered play, but I think, with the question marks surrounding what Vic Fangio is going to bring, with the struggles that players have adapting to his system in the first year, and then coupled that with, I think, the efficiency that the Chargers are going to show under Kellen Moore and just how they're going to air it out, I think the Chargers can put up a lot of points. And on the flip side, the Dolphins, yes, they were stifled last year against this Chargers team, and Brandon Staley had a hell of a defensive game plan to stop what they were doing on offense, the Dolphins, that is, on offense, which other teams stole late in the season. I think Mike McDaniels had a plan that's going to kind of crack that code. I think they're going to put up points. Like we saw before teams caught on to what they were doing last year, what the Dolphins were able to do, and which was put up insane numbers. Tua's back and healthy. He's be able to practice with this receiving core. I think this is going to be a fireworks show. I like over 50.5 here, Dolphins and Chargers. And then my play of the week is a 6-point teaser here. I'm getting the Browns, who are getting 1.5 points, and the Packers, who are also getting 1.5 points. And I'm taking 6 points here and teasing that up to +7.5 for both of them, getting that over the key number of a touchdown here. One, the Browns are at home, so I get over a touchdown for a divisional dog. And same with the Packers, who are a divisional dog here, over that key number of 7. This is -134 in the 6-leg teaser. I'm going to lay that. I really, really like this, taking these divisional dogs over that key number of 7. The Packers, I think they can win this game outright. I'm just not sold on the Bears, so I'm getting that extra cushion here. And the Browns, similarly, they've dominated the Bengals. Now I'm getting this cushion of 7.5. And so if the Bengals, like if they look great, they win by a field goal, okay, we're fine. If they look great and they win by a touchdown, like it doesn't look as good for the Browns, we're covered as well. So those are my 3 plays here as I give out the week 1 picks here on the podcast. Everything else is going to be in our chalkboard app. If there's anything else that we like, Tyson's picks are going to be in there. My picks, if there's others that I want to add on to these 3 from the podcast, those will all go into our chalkboard app, which is free to join. Yes, free to join. You can put your picks in there as well. It's not just Tyson and myself just throwing out picks. We have others who are giving out picks of their own. So feel free to join that. If you like a team, if you absolutely love someone, join the chalkboard and throw that in there and say, yes, this is the play that I love this week. Link is going to be in the description if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast form, it's also in the description for you guys as well. So make sure to click that link and join for free. In the meantime, like, subscribe, and share the show, because we have an absolutely insane amount of content coming out through football season. If you're a college football fan or college football bettor, we have you covered there. So subscribe so you don't miss any of the releases that we have, whether it's on YouTube or our podcast content. Like the show as well. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button. It really helps us become more discoverable, and we really appreciate all the support that we can get and that you guys give us. And if you're in podcast form listening to us, make sure to hit a 5-star review. That helps us out and becomes more discoverable on the charts there as well. And share the show with a friend, with someone you hate. It does not matter. Get us out there. We appreciate you guys sharing us out there to as many people as you can and just supporting the show as much as possible. We're going to be doing some giveaway stuff. So maybe, anybody else who shares, anybody who likes, anybody who subscribes, whatever the case may be, funniest comment, whatever it may be, we're going to have a lot of fun stuff this football season for giveaways and things like that. And stay connected with us finally on our social media pages. X, Twitter, or I guess it is just X now. X, Instagram, and TikTok. It's all the same at ISWIS_pod. Stay connected with us there. Enjoy week 1 of the NFL season. We're going to be back next week breaking down everything that we saw in week 1, giving out any early bets that we like as the markets open. So make sure you stay connected with us. Until then, guys, enjoy the football this weekend. Peace.